Hello, and welcome to It's Not That Bad, optimistic movie reviews for optimistic people. That's Chad Ekowitz.
And that's Simone LaRue.
Oh, look at us.
That sounded unbelievably professional.
Thank you.
You know how in one of the very first episodes that we did, you said I sounded like a news anchor. That was even better than that.
Thank
that
you.
was proper sort of PBS radio levels of professionalism.
It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, that's how it usually goes. You know, we start off strong, and just like the liquor, it just becomes us. And by the end, we're sleepy, disastrous 25-year-olds.
As usual.
As always. And if you haven't listened to this podcast before, this is the podcast where we take movies that didn't do so well and we say, hey, they're not that bad. Let's be optimistic about things. You know what? Life is hard enough. We're here to tell you, hey, look again.
You can like things.
Yeah, you know, it's very much, I would just describe our podcast like She's All That, you know, that 80s movie where the geeky girl isn't all liked and whatever, and then at the end, she's all super hot and everything. That's like us. We take films like Goosebumps and that, and we turn them into beautiful teenagers.
We are the makeover montage of podcasts.
We're the makeover montage of podcasts.
Oh my god, that's our new slogan.
That's beautiful. The makeover montage of podcasts. I might get that tattooed on me again as well. Oh, you're just filling up all my tattoos now.
How many... Is your whole body covered yet?
No, just the neck mainly. Just of sayings from you. Just, you know, life gets harder, these type of things.
Yeah. Again, that quote really is out of context.
The most out of context. It couldn't be worse.
I love that every time you sip your wine out the bottle, you put the lid back on.
You know what? Okay, well, I'll explain it to you after I've explained to our listeners why I'm straight drinking from the bottle. Because, you know, Simone's just, you know, explained that. So basically, before we started recording, I'm recording from my bed today because it's comfortable. I accidentally spilt my glass of wine all over my bed. Caused a huge delay, you know, in this podcast. It was disastrous. Babies died. Malaria spread. It was horrible. And so I decided, you know what? For the safety of not only us, but humanity, I would drink straight from the bottle. And for that exact reason is why I'm putting the lid back on the bottle every time, is because I will spill it again. And we're just going to be back in the same position. So you are going to get some sexy ASMR of this, everyone. All of that.
You're welcome.
Business. Yeah, enjoy that. So what have you thought of getting a new tattoo yet, since we were talking about tattoos?
My sister and I were thinking of getting tattoos together. And as you know, I'm good friends with a very good tattoo artist who did my last one. And I'd like to do another one with her. But, you know, tattoos cost money, and I don't, she's my friend, and she's like, oh, I'll give you a good price, but, I want to pay her full, because she's, a talented artist, and that's her job.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we try not to take advantage of artists where we can, because, you know, being paid in exposure doesn't pay the bills.
No.
No, it does not. But yeah, Simone, as many of you don't know yet, Simone and I went and got our first tattoos ever together.
They're not matching.
They're not matching tattoos, but we were in a pub in the University of Cape Town, and we got a bit drunk on red wine during the day on a Tuesday, and we said let's get tattoos together, and then we followed through, and I've got a nice tattoo on my chest, and she got a nice tattoo on her ribs. And then
mine hasn't aged well. In all fairness, it doesn't look great. Well, it looks fine, but I do wish looking back, you wish you'd done it differently. Oh, really?
What would you have done differently?
I don't know. Maybe not done a quote, the most white girl that's ever lived.
I don't know. I feel like it's a very smart quote, though.
I like it. I mean, it was written by Richard Feynman. Renowned physicist.
A nice Jewish boy, I can imagine. It's just one of those good Jewish boys. I don't know
if he was Jewish.
With a name like Feynman, he's a nice Jewish boy. Well, you know what? I claimed Stein, you know, from my film that I'm doing this week, Goosebumps. I was like, he's one of us.
Actually Jewish? Or?
I don't know if he is actually Jewish, but with a name like Stein, I claimed he was Jewish, and then seeing him in the cameo at the end, I was like, yeah, he's definitely Jewish.
I'm trying to Google it. I'm literally typing R.L. Stein Jewish? Question mark.
Is that not how most of Google searches go?
Oh, he is Jewish.
Oh. Yes!
You got it.
Absolved.
You're right, yeah.
Vindication.
There's a website called jewoftheweek.net.
Oh my word. My new favorite
Chad, you
website
need to get
of
onto
all
the
time.
site.
Jewoftheweek.net. I'm about that. We are going to link to it down below, 100%. I want everyone to go and check out jewoftheweek.net. And if all of us can vote for me... I almost spilt my wine again. How is this possible? We're 8 minutes in and I almost spilt it again.
We are doing great.
Oh, this is great. So, let's steer ourselves back onto the podcast. So, Simone, what film are you doing this week?
I am doing the Disney TV movie Descendants, and I could not be more thrilled.
I'm so happy, and I'm blessed to have you in my life.
This is a fun episode.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites that we've ever done.
Already.
Because it was just so lovely. And as you may or may not have realised already, I am doing Goosebumps. That's the 2015 classic. Yeah. So tell us, Simone, what are you drinking today?
Actually, I think I'm drinking the same as last week, which is a nice Porcupine Ridge. But this time it's a Sauvignon Blanc. I think last time it was a Chenin. Yeah. And it comes in at a cool 12.5%.
Oh ho ho!
Oh,
that is... Oh ho ho! That's a sipping wine.
Yeah. And yet, here I am, gulping.
Good. That's how we like it. We never do things half measured.
No.
It's always balls to the wall. That's what we like.
What are you drinking?
Okay, so I'm drinking the Wine List. It's a Chardonnay. Now, what I like about this vinery is that they keep it very vague, and then on the back they'll tell you where your wine is from. So every bottle is from a different country. Ooh. So I only found this out because my mum already had a bottle of this in her cabinet when I bought this. And she wanted a glass of wine, so she pulled it out and I said, now watch out, one of those bottles is mine for the podcast. And she pulled it out and she said, which one? And I said, I have no idea, to be honest, Mum. And we looked at the back and hers was from Australia, but mine is from Spain.
Oh, that's exciting.
So that's different and very, very cool. So I've got a nice Chardonnay from Spain. And it's quite tasty, as far as things go.
Is it an oaked Chardonnay? It looks unoaked.
I don't know what that means, to be honest.
Spot the girl who's been to a lot of wine tasting.
What does that mean?
So, actually, yours looks oaked. So, Chardonnay is kept in oak barrels.
Right.
Which gives it, like, its darker color and, like, more buttery, toasted nut flavor.
Right, okay. Look at you go, you fancy. This was like £3, so I doubt it was anything fancy like that.
Okay, if it was oaked, then if it's a £3 wine, that means it wasn't stored in an oak barrel because that's expensive. It just means it was stored in like a steel barrel, but like with oak chips in it.
To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it was held in my mate Daryl's flat down in Chippenham West.
It's like prison toilet wine.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest.
Well, what's the percentage there?
This is where it comes in interest, my friend. 12 dead.
Oh, shit. I think this is the closest we've ever been.
I think it is the closest we've ever been.
And yet, because I am victorious.
You are victorious. It is really funny because it is the closest I think we've ever been. Purely on the basis that you keep pulling shit out of your hat like brandy.
I really have gone the full width and depth of alcohol. I think next time I should just surprise, like, be like, and I'm drinking Sambuca.
I wouldn't be surprised if one week you just pulled out straight ethanol and was like, this is 98% proof.
Whew.
And just, like, dropped one little droplet into your eye.
I think Dan has some in his lab, because you use, like, 90% to sterilize surfaces. But one dude, I mean, inevitably in your lab, there's, like, one dude who, like, sprays it into his mouth. Like, it's a joke. And it is not advisable.
I mean, that can't be good for you in any respect.
It's gross. I don't know, but I mean, even like straight vodka at like, what, 40% is nasty.
Yeah.
I'll say it. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I completely agree with you.
Apologies to
on
our
that point.
Russian listeners.
All one of you. Yeah,
But
actually.
we love you.
Yeah, since we're talking about our listeners, I sent a message to Simone earlier this week. Just, shout out to our Korean listeners.
Yeah.
Good on you guys. You guys are badass. There's like 48 of you.
Yeah.
You guys are the shit. Like,
we want to be big in Korea. That's actually our goal.
Could you imagine if we started a K-pop band? How good would that be?
But we should maybe review a K-drama one week.
Yes. I'm about that. I love K-pop. It's just superb work.
K-pop is just, like, so hypnotizing to watch.
Yeah.
Because, like, everything is on point.
It's like watching Disney, like High School Musical, but on cocaine.
And on that note...
Hey, there we go.
We'll get
Beautiful segue.
into Descendants. Not The Descendants, the George Clooney movie, though.
Which is amazing in itself, but we won't go there.
I haven't seen it. I don't care.
It's very good.
I just want to watch young people dance in strange costumes.
And be very sexy, as we will get into. But first, a plot synopsis.
First, I didn't write one, because I've seen this movie a lot.
So you know it off by heart. You're just
going to get some really excited babbling from me. I hope you're ready.
I feel like that's the description of this podcast as well.
Okay, so our story takes place 20 years after the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, played by Dan Payne, and Belle, Keegan-Connor Tracy, got together. While they ruled the kingdom, they united all of the surrounding fairy tale kingdoms into the United States of Oregon. And they banished all the villains off to a little island called the Isle of the Lost. And there, the villains can't use magic, but they can apparently still have kids, because that's what they do. Our story opens as Beast and Belle's son, Ben, played by Mitchell Hope, is turning 16, and that means that he's ascending the throne to become king, which we'll get into.
Yeah, I have a lot of issues about the monarchy, but we'll get into that.
It's almost as though monarchy's problematic, but anyway.
but let's save that one. Let's deal with that in its entirety. As
his first decree, Ben decides that the children of the villains on the Isle of the Lost don't deserve to be resigned to the same fate as their parents. He proposes inviting 4 of the children of the villains to Oregon to attend high school and have a chance at a better life. His parents are initially resistant, but they're also making him king, so they can't really complain. Cut
like,
2.
You're not wrong.
We meet our main gang. We have Mel, played by Dove Cameron, daughter of Maleficent. Carlos, son of Cruella de Vil, played by Cameron Boyce. Jay, Boo Boo Stewart, son of Jafar. And Evie, daughter of the Evil Queen, played by Sophia Carson. The 4 of them are the ones who are invited to go to Oregon. They go, but they are given a secret mission by Maleficent, played by the formidable Kristen Chenoweth.
Perfect woman.
I love her.
She's so underrated.
She says that they need to steal the fairy godmother's wand so that they can take down the barrier around the Isle of the Lost, and Maleficent can fly in and use the wand's power to control Oregon and ruin the world, which is all she wants because she's a villain.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's great. She's perfectly amoral. She's beautiful.
Yeah. On arriving at Oregon Prep, Mel and the gang are introduced to Ben and his self-proclaimed daughter, Audrey, who is the daughter of Sleeping Beauty, played by Sarah Jeffrey. They get shown around. They're shown that they will also have to take a remedial goodness class, but generally they have to try to fit in. First, though, they attempt to steal the fairy godmother's wand from the museum that it's in. During this time, Mel begins to question if she really does want to do what her mother wants her to do, if she is truly evil, but she ends up trying to go through with it. However, there is a pretty good alarm system around the wand, and they learn that they won't be able to steal it. While they figure out another plan, they start integrating in with the school. Eventually, Mal and the others become pretty popular because she uses Maleficent's spellbook to improve the looks of the girls around them, including Jane, the daughter of the fairy godmother, played by Brenna D'Amico?
Fair enough.
D'Amico?
D'Amico sounds about right.
At last, they learn that the wand will be taken out of the museum and used at Ben's coronation, at which time Ben's girlfriend will have a front seat. Mal decides to create a love potion to get Ben to fall in love with her so that she can be close to the wand during the coronation, steal it, and then get back to the Isle of the Lost and maybe destroy the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, when Mel goes on a date with Ben, she realizes that she actually really likes him, and she's considering, like, maybe it's not that bad to be good. Mal and Ben continue dating, and you can see that the whole gang has slowly integrated itself into the school and is actually enjoying their time there. However, at a, like, family day, the children... the gang is ostracized after an encounter with Audrey's grandmother, Aurora's mom, who suspects that they're evil, can never be good, and don't deserve a place in Oridon. After that, they're pretty mad, and they decide to go through with the plan. On the way to the coronation, Mal decides to give Ben a brownie containing the love spell's antidote. However, Ben turns to her, he says, "No, the spell wore off a while ago, I still just actually like you."
Yeah, it's really lovely.
Yeah, it's real cute. And she feels really conflicted now because she has to steal the wand, but she also really likes him, and she realizes she likes her life in Oridon. At the ceremony, as Mel is hesitating to grab the wand, Jane, the fairy godmother's daughter, grabs the wand because she's sick of feeling ugly all the time, and she breaks the barrier down with the Isle of the Lost. While Mal's mother, Maleficent, is traveling to the Isle of the Lost, Mal and her friends realize that they'd all rather be good, and they all really like living in Oridon, and they don't want to keep doing evil shit. Maleficent shows up, Mal fights her, and through the power of love and friendship and goodness, they defeat her. Mal gets to keep dating Ben, they get to keep going to school there, the kids are safe from their parents, and everybody's happily ever after.
Woo! I loved this film, I really did, and I'm so angry that I had never heard of it before now.
It's genuinely so enjoyable.
It's delightful in every single way. I think my biggest problems with it were the fact that all the kids were essentially named their parents, like Mal after Maleficent, Evie after the Evil Queen, Jaff after Jafar, and then the other problem I had was that they made Jafar really, really racist. Like, Jafar was a Indian corner shop owner.
Oh, I read about this. So they're actually basing it off the character that he played at the very beginning of the Aladdin movie, the lamp merchant.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually Jafar, like, in disguise. Yes. And it's a reference to that more than, like, the more evil version of him later.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's very, very cool.
But yeah, still a little racist.
Yeah. So how did you feel about this film? Go, take me through your favourite moments. Take me through your journey.
Okay, here's the thing. I know that this film has some dumb lines, and I know that it's a little silly, and the premise is essentially kind of flawed. But overall, this film is so enjoyable. The costumes are fun. The sets are fun. The songs are catchy as balls. Like, all of it just makes me so happy. I say this as a grown-ass woman with a job.
No, it's true. It just is delightful. There's no way you can't smile at this film. It's just fun all the way through. And while you're right, there are some dumb lines. There are also some excellent lines. Like the fact that when one of them goes, "Do we have to always wear leather?" Or something like that. I just hosed myself. Like...
I love that the one girl, like, she's the evil queen's daughter, and her mom is like, "No, all you have to do is, like, look pretty and meet a prince, and then you can live in a castle." And she learns that actually she's really fucking good at, like, making dresses and doing hair, and she don't need no man. She's actually, like, she realizes she's smart on her own, and it's so nice.
Yeah, and she is actually super smart as well, and that's something you don't see a lot in Disney films, especially old Disney films. It's essentially all about the princess's attractiveness. But what's so nice about Evie is the fact that she's like, "Oh shit, I'm actually really clever as well as beautiful and all of this." And then she dates the nerdy guy. Like,
so great.
It's
but
so
also
perfect.
He's like such a partner for her. Like, he's just there supporting her and being like, "Yeah, I know you're smart, dummy." Like, it's great. It's such a great movie relationship.
It's really cute. And especially in comparison to her relationship with Prince Charming Jr.
Oh my god.
Which also, can I just say, made me the happiest person on the planet, did Prince Charming Jr. Because his name is Chad, and I have played Prince Charming. It was, like, fucking perfect.
Were you
I've
like,
never
"This
been
is
so
my
happy
role"?
about anything.
Oh my goodness.
Like, who else could be Prince Charming but myself? like Chad, Prince Charming. Everyone knows it. That's what we do. That's what us Chads do.
I'm so happy for you and your people.
Yeah, you're looking at Jew of the Week 2020. So let's talk about the monarchy then. So I wanted to hear your thoughts first.
It's just confusing because the Beast and Belle are clearly still pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, you're 16 now, we're gonna retire, but you need to finish high school.
Yeah, it is, like, that's not how very many monarchies work, as far as I'm aware. You usually have to die before, you know, the next king comes about.
I understand it's a plot thing, and, like, you know, it is also, like, teen fiction, so I guess in that context it kind of makes a weird genre-specific sense that he would ascend to the throne at 16.
Yeah.
But it's very confusing. He's like, like, don't they literally walk in and they say something like, now that you're 16, you're ready to rule the kingdom, and you're like...
No.
Whoa.
No. I was barely able to...
idiot I was when I was 16.
I mean, we were bad people then. Like, everyone is just awful. Like, 16-year-olds are just a mess.
My taste in men alone.
Awful times.
Oh my god.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it, guys. Don't give a kingdom to a 16-year-old. You're crazy.
You're dumb.
You dumb. What I loved about this, and to be fair, it is also sort of my scene that could have saved it, but in a weird way, is that I can imagine that Beast and Belle took over the whole of all the kingdoms very Game of Thrones style. Auradon. They did it very Game of Thrones style.
Oh, just like knocking out their enemies?
Just murder and intrigue and spying. Ooh. And then you've got Prince Charming, who's like Littlefinger, and you've got fucking they're employing the evil people like Maleficent.
And that's why all their kids are at Auradon Prep, because they're basically being held hostage.
Yeah. Like, no one's seen Sleeping Beauty or Prince Sebastian for, like, years. Like, no one knows where the Little Mermaid is. She drowned. How? Uh-huh.
Do you know, there's a theory with The Little Mermaid. I was reading facts about this movie. So, you know, there are a couple of scenes you see a girl in a wheelchair in the background? There's a theory that she's, like, the Little Mermaid's daughter. And, like, her legs don't work because she's, like, not used to having legs.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great theory. I really like that bit as well.
I love it. I was like, I don't think it's real, but, like, I really like it.
It was perfect. So yeah, if you haven't seen this movie and you watch these episodes without watching the films, go and watch this film.
Yeah.
Like, highly recommend it. 10 out of 10 for this.
Also, the fact that Kristen Chenoweth is in it alone is just, like, she has just such raw talent in her pinky finger. Yeah,
she's brilliant. And I mean, you don't picture her as Maleficent, but she does a pretty decent job.
Apparently she played, like, Glenda the Good Witch on Broadway.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how angry the fairy godmother's daughter made us. Because I know you felt the same way as I did.
Okay, first of all, can I say the fairy godmother is incredible.
Perfect.
I love her when
being.
She's teaching the remedial goodness class and she's like acting out all the options. That actress fucking I don't think I said her name.
No, you didn't say her name, but she nailed it.
Oh, Melanie Paxson. She killed it.
She's so good as the fairy godmother. Can't you just bibbity boppity do whatever? Like, that's not a verb, guys.
The doors of learning are never closed, but the library is open until...
The daughter was upset about the fact that she wasn't found attractive, but she was actually really good looking.
Well, I think the whole thing was, like, Mel manipulated her into being, like, insecure about
I don't know,
her looks
because I thought
and made her think,
the whole
like,
idea...
magic was the only way for her to, like, feel good about herself. But yes, she is a very conventionally attractive, beautiful girl.
Yeah, and then she's just like, nah, I'm hideous. But then all the other princesses are like, look how hideous fairy godmother's daughter is. And it's like, do you not have eyes? Can you not see how amazing...
I loved that, like, all of the makeovers just involved giving the girls, like, longer hair and highlights.
Like Mulan's daughter.
Yeah.
Also, why is Milan's daughter caring about her looks? Because I feel like that's the whole point of Milan.
You know, but I think when you're in high school, like, everybody hates how they look in high school.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, and Milan's never at home. That's the thing. She's out fighting for King Beast.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, she's
yeah,
his assassin?
she's his assassin. Yeah, 100%. She's going out, let's get down to business, just slicing off heads. She's amazing.
She does have a cooler role in the next movie, in all fairness to her.
I'm so excited. I'm gonna watch the next movie and number 3 when it comes out.
I think, so online, a lot of people were like, oh, it's trying to be a High School Musical, but it's not as good. And I would argue that it might, in terms of the overarching, like, lesson from the movie, I think it's better than High School Musical.
Yes,
because
100%.
High School Musical, the first movie at least, is like, it's okay to like other things. And, like, sure, very privileged children, it is okay to like other things. But the whole, I guess, point of this movie was, like, saying, like, you have to accept that when you meet someone from a different background to you, that, like, they're going to be different, and that they haven't had the same privileges and upbringing that you've had. And, you know, like, it's just about accepting people from other backgrounds. Not even, like, people who like sports or, like, singing.
Like cooking.
Yeah.
Like, it's so true. Like, this movie is really, really poignant in that fact. And, like, when the grandmother starts, like, slagging them off and telling them that they'll never deserve to be here, it's really accurate for... Especially in today's world where we're still somehow in 2019 discussing these things, and it's not normal that people from different backgrounds are just, like, accepted and everything. Like, it's so beautiful to see this. And, like, King, the whatever his name is, the 16-year-old new king is just like, yeah, they weren't born evil, they should have a second chance, is fucking amazing as a moral. Yeah. It's so good. It's so much better than we're all in this together.
And I think the overarching thing is, like, you know, if you treat people like they're bad people, then that's what they're gonna become.
Yeah.
Or then that's, you know, what happens. And if you're just nice to people, like, that goes a really long way.
Yeah, which it does in this film, because they all become super good because they like that life.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, and I can't believe I'm comparing Descendants with actual modern day, like, political topics, but
welcome to our podcast.
Welcome to our podcast, everyone. But this movie kind of encapsulates exactly what's going on over here in the UK right now. I don't know if you heard about this, but there's this this young teenage girl. She left the United Kingdom to go and join ISIS. She got pregnant over there and wants to come back to the United Kingdom now for asylum for her baby. And a lot of people are really angry about it because they're like, oh, fuck her, she left for ISIS, she's a terrorist, how can we let her back in? She's still a British citizen, and her baby is a British citizen. The baby didn't join ISIS, she did. Like, how can you punish the baby? It's completely innocent.
Like, ISIS is essentially a cult.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so how, like, comparing this situation to Descendants, the baby did nothing wrong. Like, just like these kids did nothing wrong.
You could even argue that, like, considering how a lot of immigrants are treated in the UK, it's understandable that at some point she would have been like, well, fuck you guys, I'm not going to try to be a good British citizen if this is how I'm going to be fucking treated. Like, and that's exactly, you know, right. I'm not saying joining ISIS is okay.
But also, this is our ad segment for this week. ISIS, join us. Join us today.
Can you imagine?
Oh, how crazy would that be? We've joined ISIS.
Hey, a sponsor's
network.
A sponsor.
Yeah, that's true. If we get paid, I'm happy.
We wedge them in between, like, Squarespace and Quip.
Yeah. If you're not brushing your teeth right, then death to America.
The Western world is a festering sore on the planet.
But yeah, seriously, like, this, it's such a good movie for that. And I mean, what was I going to say? I had a point to make and then I completely forgot it. Basically, don't be dicks. Like, oh, that's what I was going to say. Yes, ISIS, like, one of how they recruit people is through hate. Like, if you hate foreigners, they target you. They target people who are hated on and say, "Hey, listen, we're a community that will accept you, that will love you, and you know, encourage your difference." Not like these Westerners, and that's how they recruit people. So if we had a bit more acceptance, like, you know, in this film, maybe we wouldn't have ISIS.
Bit more patience,
maybe.
Bit more understanding. And that's our hippie, liberal snowflake take on it.
Yeah, so if you didn't enjoy that, go fuck yourself.
If the message of peace and understanding upsets you.
Yeah. If we're too liberal for you, this isn't your podcast.
We're literally talking about a kid's movie, you asshole.
So what was your scene that could have saved it?
Nothing.
If there is one,
this
because
movie
this movie is
perfect.
perfect.
I love it. I just wish Christian Chenoweth had been in it more.
Yeah.
But just, it's so beautiful to watch. It makes me so happy. I do think that Ben is maybe the most boring character ever.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I think the supporting characters are the real stars here.
Yeah, definitely. I think Ben as a character is really more like his only good and redeeming line was when he's like, "Oh, do you mean from the love potion that you gave me? Because I still feel the same way." And you're just
also,
like, "Oh."
On that note, it is a bit fucked up that he's like, "Oh, it's cool that you gave me a love potion. You were just shy to say you liked me." And it's like, he's really chill with her taking away his bodily autonomy.
Look, with a body like that, I mean, can anyone take away your autonomy?
I love Dove Cameron, who plays Mal, so much. She is, first of all, too beautiful for this world.
Yeah, she's perfect.
And she's so talented. I watched a couple of videos of her, on YouTube. I think it's a singing associations challenge or whatever. And she just, she's very, very talented. And I'm excited to see what happens with her career.
She's going to be amazing.
All of these kids, actually.
Yeah, they're all extremely good actors. Like, Cruella de Vil's kid, I've seen him in
Carlos?
something else.
Yeah.
I've seen him in something else,
a couple of things.
remember.
I actually looked him up. I could not tell you off the top of my head, though.
That's fair enough. Well, yeah, as I said, for my scene that could have saved it isn't technically a scene that could have saved it. I would love a prequel where we see King Beast just fucking shit up.
Oh, yeah,
all the other
Game
Disney characters are just, nailing it. Beautiful. It'd be perfect. It'd be so good. And he just beasts out. He just fucking beasts out, rips off
rips
Prince Charming's heads.
Yeah,
amazing. Dreams. So that would be that's a great prequel that we are gonna write.
On our next episode.
Yeah. We're changing the podcast format. We're now gonna be doing audio plays. Right, so tell us about the director. Who's this guy or girl?
Oh, so you know the director from High School Musical. It's the same guy who directed High School Musical, Kenny Ortega.
Trust him with my life.
Yeah, I honestly do. I love him. Yeah, so Kenny Ortega, you obviously saw his work with High School Musical, sorry. He directed The Cheetah Girls, a couple of episodes of Gilmore Girls.
Lovely.
Oh, one episode of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Nice.
Descendants 2.
Nice, yeah, so clearly,
yes,
the
very
best
talented,
director.
really good with music movies and musicals. He apparently is a really intense director. A lot of people are I thought I knew how to sing and dance at the same time, and then I worked with him, and I was tested.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the choreography in all of these is just insane.
Oh man, that song that Ben sings to Mal at the football stadium, well, not football.
So catchy.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
What a
There's
fucking
a
song.
Cheer routine happening in the background. There are so many extras in that scene.
I mean, that song, holy crap.
It's great. It's so fun.
Man, we'll link to it specifically because it will get stuck in your head and it is perfect.
But all of the songs have been stuck in my head at one point or another, to be honest.
Yeah. Especially it feels good being bad or whatever it's called.
Oh, Rotten to the Core.
Rotten to the Core. Oh, what a sexy song to open up a movie. Good lord.
I know. I was like, oh my goodness.
I mean, I was really confused during that scene because I was like, how do you open with something so sexy and try and continue to be as amazing throughout? And they did. It was amazing. Yeah. Well done, Simone.
Thanks. I'm really glad
choice.
I got to talk about my guilty pleasure of a movie.
I mean, how could you not? This film, man. I'm so glad to have you in my life to give me this film, because without you, I would have never heard of this. Can you imagine dying not knowing that this film exists?
I am so happy I don't have to.
Right, well, in that case, shall we Goosebumps this?
I'm so excited. Yes.
I really
Tell me
enjoyed this
about
film.
Goosebumps.
Okay, so just a warning to all of our listeners. I have drunk more than half this bottle
Ooh, girl.
of wine, so this is going to be a bit of a struggle, but we're gonna get it through it together, okay? Zach, played by Dylan Minnette, and his mum, Gail, played by Amy Ryan, moved to a new city to start afresh after the tragic death of their husband and father. Zach is a little apprehensive, but he's not too upset about the whole situation. While moving in, Zach meets his neighbor's his next door neighbor, Hannah, played by Odeya Rush. They flirt a little, share a little banter, until Hannah's father, played by Jack Black, comes out and tells Zach to stay away from his house and his daughter. He's a little weird, so Zach kind of agrees. Zach goes to school the next day, everything's pretty chilled as far as Zach is concerned, and he meets his new best friend, Champ, whose real name is actually Champ, played by Ryan Lee. During their day together, Champ reveals that there is a big school dance the night after next, and that they should go together, but riding solo. Zach sort of agrees to this. Later that night, Zach is taking out the trash when Hannah sneaks up on him and asks him to follow her to an undisclosed location. Turns out, she takes him to an abandoned fun fair. They hang out for a while, and then they go home. Hannah's father finds out she snuck out, and so basically threatens Zach's life if he ever speaks to her again. Even later on that night, Zach overhears screams coming from Hannah's house, and he thinks Hannah's father is trying to kill her. He calls the police, they all rush over to find out that they're just watching a scary movie. Zach doesn't believe this for a second, and decides that the next night he will break into Hannah's house to see what's going on. Turns out that this is the same night as the big dance. Oh no. Champ shows up at Zach's house ready to go to the big dance, when Zach ropes him into breaking into Hannah's home. They break in and find out that Hannah's father is actually the author R.L. Stine of the Goosebumps book fame. They find a shelf containing all the original manuscripts, they open one, and boom, the abominable snowman comes out, tears through the house, and escapes. Turns out, R.L. Stine has a magic typewriter. Whenever he writes a book in this typewriter, those monsters come to life. He then locks them away in the books, but if the books are ever opened again, the monster will be free until the monster is close enough to be sucked back into the book. They are able to catch the abominable snowman with the help of Stine himself, but it turns out that during the commotion back at the house, one of the other books was opened. The ventriloquist doll, Slappy, R.L. Stine's worst and most feared creation, has the plan to free all of the monsters, destroy their books, and kill Stine. Part 1 and 2 of his plan succeed, but Stine and the kids escape before Slappy can kill them. During the hijinks that ensue, we learn that Hannah is in fact a monster herself, that Stine created and not actually a human. When Zach confronts him about this, he says that Hannah does not know she's not a human, and pleads with Zach to keep it a secret, which he does. Stine and the kids devise a plan to capture all the monsters back into a single book, which Stine will now write. He has to go to the high school to retrieve his magic typewriter first, though. He is able to get it, but just as he's about to finish the book, Slappy finds him and breaks his fingers. Stine gives Zach the unfinished book and the typewriter, tells him to run and to finish the book. They run to the abandoned fun fair from before. In the nick of time, Zach is able to finish the book, and Hannah reveals that she knew the whole time that she was a ghost. All the monsters, including Hannah, get sucked back into the book, and the world is saved. A week or so down the line, Stine is now teaching English at the high school, and has rewritten Hannah into existence so that Zach and her can be together, and they all live happily ever after. Until Goosebumps 2, I guess, but I haven't seen that. And there you have it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I enjoyed this movie a lot.
I surprisingly did. I mean, to be fair, I've read maybe 2 Goosebumps books in my life.
What?
I know.
I read all of them.
I mean, I should have read them. With how much of a horror fan I am now, it's surprising that I have never read more than that. But, I got into the TV show. The TV show scared the shit out of me.
I never watched the TV show. My mom used to take me to the library, every week. I was probably way too young.
Yeah.
And I used to take out Goosebumps books.
They are great. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
R.L.
that
Stine
guy
is
really
a genius.
fucking churned out books.
There's some lines in this movie that are just so fucking funny when it relates to books. Like, when he's just like, I've sold 300 million copies. 300 million copies. In the US? No, gross, but that doesn't matter.
I fucking died in the line where he gets compared to Stephen King.
Yeah.
And he just fucking loses it. And it's really funny because when I looked it up now, they keep calling him the Stephen King of children's horror.
That's so good.
It was just perfect. Especially, like, I loved Jack Black for this role. I think he did so
funny in it.
Flawlessly.
Yeah. That, like, he is really good. Like, I'm usually not a huge fan of Jack Black, but he was absolutely perfect in this film. I just think his accent in it just plays to the part itself. Like, R.L. Stein himself doesn't have an accent, but it's just so funny with the accent. It works so well. I mean, one of my favorite lines from the movie is, "I have a deadline," literally. Like, I fucking hosed. There were so good ones.
And also, that's such a Goosebumps line, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think it's a little disturbing that, in, I guess, the movie franchise, R.L. Stein can essentially play God.
Yeah.
Like, he's creating life. And also, the implications here, does this mean Hannah can age like a normal person? Because at first she's like, oh, you can only have so many sweet 16s.
Yeah.
But, like, maybe, I wonder if, like, when he wrote the new book about her so she could be, like, in the world again, if he didn't include, like, her aging.
Yeah, that is a good question, because, I mean, if she doesn't age again, that means Zach is going to age and inevitably die, and Hannah will just be left behind, which is a horrible idea.
Well, I mean, even that, he'll be like a 40-year-old dude dating a 16-year-old.
Yeah, it's a bit creepy. So yeah, I mean, that is a really, really good question that I didn't even think about.
It's a disturbing implication.
Yeah,
he can literally create an army.
There are quite a few things. I mean, with this, obviously, sort of the books can come to life. So does that mean that if he had just stopped writing in that typewriter, we would have all been fine?
Yeah.
Also, once the manuscript is finished, does that mean he can't open it again? In which case, how did they get published? Because you need to copy it.
Oh, so many edits and re-edits and...
I mean, that's terrible. That's a terrifying idea to live behind. But I think it's a beautiful story in itself, very much like the Descendants. Descendants is a beautiful story about you don't have to be sort of dictated by your circumstances. This movie is about the right to life for all. And I think that in itself is great. Like, Slappy is actually the hero of this film, because he's an advocate for the right to life, the right to exist. And I think that is beautiful. These things are sentient, they have feelings, they can get hurt. Like, why can't they live?
Because they're trying to eat people.
Hey, lions do that every day.
Yeah, we kill a lot of lions.
Yeah, and we're against it.
Some of us.
I'm going to advocate for the fact that the Goosebumps books should be let to live.
Oh, R.L. Stein is actually the bad guy?
Yeah, I'm going to advocate that R.L. Stein is the bad guy in this.
Okay.
This is a beautiful story about the right to life. It's a constitutional issue.
Okay, I think you're taking it a bit far.
Just rein it back a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was very surprised that this movie, like, it did okay. I mean, it got 60, but it's actually a really decent film. Like, it kind of just disappeared. Like, no one goes, oh, I love the Goosebumps film.
Yeah. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I think anyone who's, like, a big fan of R.L. Stein would have enjoyed it. I love that Slappy, literally one of the scariest books in the franchise.
Oh my god. Right?
I mean, there is something, obviously, I'm not, like, making a new observation, but there is something inherently scary about ventriloquist dummies.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think there's a whole film about ventriloquist dummies. I think it's called...
Dead Silence.
Dead Silence, there you go.
It's surprisingly good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think the policeman in that film is a bit hammy, but apart from him, the film's great. Are. That's true.
Speaking of policemen, the cops in this film were so funny.
They're great. I think there's also the unsung hero in this film is the aunt, who is played by... Let me just get her
She is so
name.
fucking funny.
She's great in this. Like, the fact... it's Gillian Bell. She's fantastic.
Bless her.
In this.
She's in Workaholics, isn't she?
I think so, yeah.
Fuck, she's funny.
She's ace. She's so good. What an actress. I mean, there's genuinely... I mean, I don't want to be too short on this section, but there's genuinely, like, it's just a good film. Like, It's not Oscar-worthy. It's not going to be, like, in everyone's mind forever, but it's just lovely.
It's such a pleasant way to spend your time.
Yeah. Like, I would rather show this to my kids than, like, something like Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium. Because then, you have the implication that you can get them into the books, that we can, start getting
Yeah.
them into Stephen King as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's what you really want.
Yeah, I want my kid to be reading it by the time it's 5.
Yeah. Because then, you don't have to send them to bed. They're just terrified and they stay in bed. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Which is the dream, because you don't want your kids around you.
Yeah. No,
They're
any
horrible.
child I have is growing up on a steady diet of Stephen King and Terry Pratchett, because you gotta have some magic in your life.
See, I'm not a fan of Terry Pratchett.
I fucking love Terry Pratchett. I'm reading some of his books at the moment, and they're just charming. They're clearly children's books, but I really like them.
Yeah, I've never really gotten into Terry Pratchett. I can never get behind him. The only thing I've ever read from Terry Pratchett is Good Omens, but he wrote that with Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman, yeah.
Neil Gaiman's?
I mean.
Neil Gaiman is a genius.
Yeah, Good Omens makes me so happy. I have only ever listened to the audiobook, but it's like really well voice acted, and it's like my road trip book.
It's so funny.
It's perfect.
Did you hear that? I think they're making either a film or an Amazon series.
Yes, it's an Amazon series. David Tennant is playing Crowley,
Yes.
and Michael Sheen, my boy,
Your boy,
is
Michael Sheen.
is playing the angel.
It's going to be so good. You know how in the beginning of this podcast we mentioned Ben Stiller in every episode? Have you noticed how in these later
mean
episodes
Ben
we've
Affleck?
mentioned... Oh, Jesus, what is happening? Well, I know what's happening. Alcoholism. But how in the beginning of of the old episodes we did Ben Stiller, Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Jesus, again, Ben Affleck. And now we're doing Michael Sheen. He's our boy.
Look, Michael Sheen will never not be funny. I love him.
And
We
perfect.
cannot get into it again because I
No.
left like 2 full minutes of me cry laughing in our Twilight episode.
He's so perfect. So tell me, what's your scene that could have saved this film, if there is one, to be honest?
Yo, I don't want to be lazy and like the second time in a row be like, no, it's perfect. Okay, I feel like at the beginning they give the main character his dad died.
Yeah.
And he's very sad about it. And he, like, watches a video on, like, a camcorder of his dad and then puts it in a box under his bed. And then it's never brought up again.
No.
And I just feel like, script-wise, there should be some continuity with that.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I get you.
Yeah. I mean, some sort of character development where, like, some part of it causes him to come to terms with the death of his father.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would have been really nice. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Because the protagonist was fairly bland.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'm not gonna slag on that actor, but
Mm-mm.
Dylan Minnette. I'm not gonna slag on him because he was 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah, so we know he can act.
I mean, he isn't the most charismatic of guys.
That's the whole point. Like, he literally is, like, the watery protagonist that every show needs.
I would say, he reminds me of the guy from Perks of Being a Wallflower in the fact that he is just a wallflower.
Yeah.
Like, that is his role.
I mean, as with any John Green novel, I'll say it. I love John Green. I think he's a cool guy. But every John Green novel has a really boring protagonist that is, like, really sensitive, obviously, like any fucking white dude writer would write. And always just, like, blown away by this quirky girl, and has this, like, interesting cast of side characters, but they're so uninteresting, but they also have a deep, lingering trauma.
Yeah, that is
But
true.
it's not enough to make them interesting.
Yeah, what's it? Fault in Our Stars, Looking for Alaska, they're all the same. And, like, not to slag
I
off
don't
John
watch
Green.
Hank Green movies anymore.
No, you can't.
Or
you
John
can't.
Green movies
John
anymore
Green.
for that reason.
But John Green and Hank Green are both just superb
I
people.
love them both. I just
Like,
hate that style of book.
and not to hate on them, and not to compare him or them to our worst enemy, but do you feel that the John Green Pixie Dream fangirl is very similar to Ernest Cline?
Yes, it is one of my least favorite things, is, like, because basically the girl isn't, like, a character in herself. She's just, like, a plot device for this character to learn something about himself. Like,
Yeah.
she's never gonna be a forever thing. She's just there so he can learn something, and then she is cast aside.
Yeah. Yeah, no, good point.
Yeah, it's one of my least favorite book tropes.
It is sad,
And I do wish that the movie had actually been a bit more original with this, but,
but hey ho, I mean, what can you do?
That's fine. It's a staple of cinema, unfortunately. What's your scene that could have saved it before Simone gets angry about poor character writing?
Look, we can do it in our minisode with the book minisode that we're gonna release.
I mean,
soon.
not with Stephen King though.
No, but we're gonna gush over the fact that he can actually write decent women characters.
It's not hard.
It's not hard.
We need to stop rewarding men for writing interesting female characters. It's the bare minimum.
It is the bare minimum, but it's the fact that only a handful of writers can do it, which is very frustrating. Okay, we're gonna move away.
Clenched.
They're clenched with hatred.
Ugh, rage.
Which is actually something, before I go into my scene that could have saved it, I do want to say this, going on your point about female characters in this film. We need to stop rewarding guys who save girls with kisses. That pissed me off.
Yes.
When Champ saved his crush from the werewolf, she immediately kisses him. And I'm like, no, this is what causes a rape culture. Stop it.
This is how incels are born.
Do not. That is not how it works. Like, it is a form of prostitution, and it needs to stop.
You are not owed a woman. Doesn't matter what you do. You don't get anything.
No. Do you know how you get women? Being interesting. Caring
and
about
nice.
what they want. Listening. Being nice.
Treating them like human beings. Instead of machines that you can pour kindness into, and sex will fall out.
That would be great. Is that not what Stepford Wives is all about?
It literally is.
I mean, my point is slightly invalidated by the fact that I am, yet again, a single white male. But Simone's point stands.
You also don't think that you're owed a woman because you're, like, not an asshole.
Definitely not. Because I am an asshole. But no, seriously, like, even if because I was nice to a woman, I would not expect them to sleep with me. That is insane. Right, so my scene that could have saved it, now that I've taken yet another swing of my wine.
Now that we've gotten off our soapboxes.
Whew, this episode has turned very real. This reminds me of...
Very angry.
This reminds me of our early High School Musical episode, where we were just really mad about the world, and we gave a lot of PSAs. So, yes, my scene that could have saved it is basically... The books were scary. The TV show was scary. I would have liked to see a bit more scariness in this.
Yeah.
It would have been great if this was a bit more horror-based.
Yeah. Slappy is a very scary character, and he was not that scary in this.
No. I mean, the only bits that he was kind of bit scary was with the dummy bits, when he was called a dummy, and he murdered people. But... you know, he is a really scary character, and the other monsters can be really, really scary. And it's just sad that they missed out on this, because when I saw that the Goosebumps film was coming out, I was like, oh my god, that's actually going to be quite scary. And then I saw Jack Black was going to be in it, and I was like, okay, so it's not going to be that scary then.
Yeah.
And
it
would have just been
being traumatized by Goosebumps books several times.
Yeah, because that's what they were for. They were to teach kids to enjoy horror films and
and
horror
it's where you
in general.
learn about all of horror tropes. Like, you know, even if you make it like a really tropey horror movie, like that's fun. It was a fun movie.
Yeah. So that's what I would say was my scene that could have saved it. Just make it scarier. Yeah. Right, so let's talk about our director, our good friend Rob Letterman. Now this guy, I didn't even know until this moment, is my hero. Do you want to know why?
Why?
He directed, or is directing, the Pokemon Detective Pikachu movie.
Oh, fun!
So I love him immediately.
Cool.
He also did, obviously, Goosebumps, Gulliver's Travels, Monsters vs. Aliens, Club Oscar, Shark Tale, and Los Gringos. So, I mean, I love Shark Tale. I know a lot of people hate Shark Tale, but, I mean...
it's fun.
It's great. Monsters vs. Aliens is just a great movie that's also incredibly underrated. Yeah, I feel like, you know, he's a really great director. This film isn't bad in any stretch of the imagination, and it's directed really well. Like, you care about these characters, the shots are amazing. Like, Rob Letterman. What a man.
What a man.
What a guy. What a mensch, as Jew of the Week says.
This was such an easy episode.
It's been lovely.
Just overjoyed by both movies.
Yeah, it's going to be tragic when we have to return to the fucking dredges of film crap that will come. So then, tell us then, Simone, in our newest of all the segments, what are you looking forward to, and what do I think is going to be rubbish?
Obviously, I think you know what I'm going to talk about.
I'm trying to think.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you anyway.
Yeah.
The trailer for Frozen 2 came out.
Yes! How good!
Goosebumps. It
Dark.
looks incredible.
It's so edgy.
My whole body is ready. I literally, like, all the hairs on my arms raised up while I watched it. The music sounds amazing. I am ready to watch this movie and cry.
It's gonna be amazing. It looks so much edgier than any Disney film I've ever seen. It looks fucking intense.
I'm ready to see more of Elsa just embracing her insane superpowers.
Yeah. I mean, like, that whole beginning of it, I thought it was a fake trailer first. Because when you look at it...
Yeah, it's almost too good.
Yeah, it looks like it's just been taken from the first couple of movies or something like that. And you think, oh, this is just a fake trailer, and then you look at it and you're just like, holy shit, this is amazing. The fact that none of them speak at all, like, it's really good. They're doing a great job.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Frozen 2 is going to be the tits.
Yeah. Lit.
Lit. Yeet.
Yeet. We're cool. Are we cool yet?
We're cool. We're millennials.
Hi, Gen Z.
We're with the kids. We're with the kids. I'm going to talk about The Divorce Party.
Oh, no.
I know. Even just the name, right?
Yeah.
It just makes you really mad. So, The Divorce Party is basically, as you can imagine from the name, a gentleman is getting divorced. As you can already expect, he is white. And he decides that he will celebrate the fact that he's getting divorced because the act of marriage is so important and lovely, and sort of the finality of divorce is very depressing, and he wants to change. He wants to change the ideology of divorce and make it a very sort of uplifting thing. And it looks fucking atrocious, and it made me very, very angry and sad. You know, love is important. If you get married, yes, some situations call for divorce, and divorce is fine, but we don't need to celebrate it with a film.
Look, I'm 50-50 on this, right? Like, I think, obviously, love is important, and marriage is something you should take seriously. But also, if you get to a point in your marriage where you're like, you know what, we're both miserable, this isn't working, nothing we've tried has worked, let's not be miserable anymore.
Yeah.
And you want to celebrate the fact that, like, you two have reached this decision together, and, you know, you're both moving on to better things or a different life. Like, I can get behind that.
No, I completely agree with you. And I mean, even sort of, you know, divorce is very important, and I think it's saved a lot of lives in itself, because, I mean, domestic abuse, the main reason that people continued in domestic abuse situations is because divorce was frowned upon. Divorce is a very important thing.
Yeah.
But for someone to celebrate it with a party is just like, it's a little crass.
I think I'd really have to see, like, the context of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, if it's all like, oh, the old ball and chain jokes, like, really, are we still making jokes about how marriage is a trap? Like, is that what we're doing?
To be fair, it's not that at all, but...
Okay.
So basically, I think it's very Ernest Cline-y in its feel.
Okay.
So he's this very sort of, very laid back, sort of very passive white male. He's trying to make the marriage work, and it just doesn't work. So she wants the divorce. So she's the evil character, and he talks to his friends, and they're all like, "Oh, we should have make it a celebration, make divorce a great thing." And then so he goes and he gets like a giant TV and beer and all this shit.
So his friends are trying to, like, make him feel better.
Sort of, like. I like how you're trying to make this optimistic, and I like how you're trying to turn it around. It's impressive.
You know, that's my job.
It is your job on this podcast. Well, look, as we always say, hope it doesn't do badly, but I know it will.
Yeah. Maybe it surprises us.
Yeah. So we did it again, Simone.
We've done it.
On the most pleasant episode.
It's been so fun.
And do you know what?
What?
Happy 30th episode, Simone.
Oh my goodness, happy 30th episode to you.
Yeah. I mean, not for our people who
are
listening to it, but for you and me, we've recorded 30 episodes of this.
Yeah, because we're saving a couple of other episodes for a rainy day, you guys.
Yeah, when you deserve it, you mongrels.
Or when we're tired.
Or when we're tie-tie. You remember when we started and we used to record half an episode a session?
Oh my god, I do remember that. That was dumb.
We used to, literally, for our listeners out there, we used to record one movie at a time. So either Simone or I would speak then we'd go away, wait till next weekend, then we would record another half. Just insanity.
Yeah.
We've come a long way since then. So, Simone, what film are you doing next week?
I am going to do the film that you've never heard of from 2014 called Vampire Academy.
I'm excited about it, just from the name. I assume
same.
they're going to teach you how to do vampires? I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited. It's going to be real.
Maybe it's just about law school. Dun!
Oh, it hurts because it's true. Which reminds me of a favourite joke from Donald Glover ever, where he goes to Britta, Alison Brie, and he goes, not Alison Brie, I can't remember her name, when he goes to Britta in Community, and he goes, "You're like a vampire, but you're more of a fun vampire, because instead of sucking blood, you just suck."
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I miss Community.
It's such a good show.
Perfect.
Right, so while you're talking about vampires going to school, I assume, I'm going to talk about the worst movie that I've ever watched ever. Now, this movie is so bad that when I started university at the University of Cape Town, and I was flying up to Cape Town with my mother, there were two gentlemen behind me on the flight, and they were talking about Tree of Life, the film I'm going to do, and I literally turned around to them and I said, "Don't watch it, it is terrible." That is how bad this film is. I literally turned to strangers and said to them, "This film is so bad." So we're going to watch that and try and say why it's good. Tree of Life, everyone. Brad Pitt, Tree of Life. Terrible film. Jesus Christ.
Why do you make me do this? We just had such a nice episode.
We had such a... We need to counteract
Should we just review children's movies?
So we're going to do Finding Dory and...
Oh, I'd love that, low-key.
That would be the dream.
But I feel like I always cry during kids' movies now. Like, I never used to. And now I guess I just feel the full range of human emotion, unlike when I was a kid. And I just am a mess.
Yeah. Inside Out destroys me every time.
Oh, man, no.
So, Simone, how's your week been? Tell everyone the big good news.
Boy, Chad, this has been a week.
Man, oh man. What a week for you.
Besides work just, like, being a lot lately, Magnus, my new baby boy, who I adopted, and I love him so much, went missing because I left a window open like an idiot because work was being a lot. He went missing on Tuesday. We literally did everything we could do to find him. We talked to every single one of our neighbors, which we hate doing. Not because our neighbors are mean. Our neighbors were very nice, but we just didn't ever want to meet our neighbors, you know, because we're
as you do.
people.
I mean, yeah. You don't want to meet people. That's crazy.
No, I don't want to talk to my neighbors. But they were all very, very sweet, and like literally were like, "Oh, do you want to come search my yard?" And I was like, "You've just met me." We put up missing posters of him everywhere. We put his picture on a bunch of Facebook groups for missing pets around Cape Town. We left like his litter box outside so he could like smell his way home. I literally walked around the garden calling for him at all hours in case he heard my voice. We did that for days. I didn't get any sleep. I was so worried. Luckily, on Friday, he came home. We had to catch him because he was a bit panicky, but he is home now. And I got such a good night's sleep after that.
I can imagine. Oh, the poor baby.
My God. Yeah, so he's fine. He's okay. He's very happy and comfy and cozy. He's been given a lot of tuna as a reward for coming home. Yeah, so it's been a week.
What a week you've had. That's nuts.
And how was your week?
My week was much less stressful. I bought a car this week, so I am now mobile. It is, for all of you car people out there, it's a Vauxhall Astra.
Ooh, he's going fast.
Yeah, man. It's got 4 seats and 4 wheels.
Ladies,
if you're interested in a guy who can take you places, holler at your boy, and I will take you places.
But not too far, because fuel is
expensive. So yeah, it's been a pretty good week. I've just been sort of doing some major renovations to Forge and Flint, drawing up contracts and etc. Trying to actually, make us some money, because that would be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, we have made money. We're officially, a making money company, but we are not making a profit. Those two things are very different.
Yes.
So that's good. We'll get there eventually, everyone.
Yes, please, so that I can quit my job.
Yeah, that's the dream. So yeah, it's been a pretty good week for me. I've had a pretty relaxed and good week. Looking forward to going forward with that.
I mean, except for all the worrying you did about Magnus as well.
Oh, obviously, I was very, very concerned about Magnus.
Yeah,
I mean, every day I'd go on Facebook and I'd see a new post from you, and I was like, God damn it. Where is this poor little kitty cat?
Oh, he's so sweet. You would love him.
He is a gorgeous cat. He is beautiful.
And he's like, you know how, when you give a cat attention, eventually they get kind of sick of it and they, leave? He will let you give him attention all day, every day. He just fucking angel. Loves it.
He's a good boy. He's the best.
He's perfect.
Well, he's not as good as Oliver. He's home. But I'm glad he's home.
They're both equally perfect in their own way.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm very relieved that he's home safe.
Exactly. We all are. So then, Simone, where can the people find you?
They can follow me on Instagram and see my cat's pictures at simone.le.roux. They can read our articles at forgeandflint.com. They can follow the podcast at It's Not That Bad 1 on Facebook and Twitter, and at It's Not That Bad Podcast on Instagram. They can also email us at It's Not That Bad Podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, and you can find me at chatsby1993 on both Instagram and Twitter, so that's CHADSBY 1993. That's where you'll find me for all of my cool insights on Twitter. I can promise you they are all terrible, but you might have some fun with those. Also, I just wanted to speak to everyone who is listening to our podcast and who listens to our podcast every week. First of all, thank you very much for doing so.
Yes.
And we would like to employ you into doing something for us. We'd very much appreciate it if you could do this. There's a new podcasting app that's just come out called Himalaya. So it's spelt Himalaya. And basically it's like a podcast social media service, so you can talk to your podcasters, you can give them money through the tip system, you can also talk to other people who enjoy podcasts and discuss sort of what podcasts you like. Now, this app is relatively new, so there aren't a lot of sort of people who are following different podcasts, who view different podcasts. So, you know how all of this social media crap works. It's all on algorithms. So the more views a podcast gets, the higher up they are ranked and the more visible they are. So what we would implore you to do is download Himalaya, like our podcast, so we can become higher on their algorithm and then get more worldly known. We'd really, really appreciate it from you guys. And if you don't feel like doing that, if there's any chance that if you don't believe in being good, if you want to be evil, that's fine. Don't do that. But instead of doing that, rate us on Apple Podcasts or any of the other podcast apps. Give us a good rating. Give us a comment. Tell us why you like this podcast. Tell us why you don't like this podcast. Write into us. Tell us things. We love to engage with you. We wanna know what you're about. We're here for you as well as we are for us. So tell us these things. And thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. This has been such a lovely episode to do. And as we say at the end of every episode, we love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Goodbye!
Bye!